Peter and his wife Debbie, where's Debbie? Somewhere over here, right there, came to Washington from Washington State and Oregon, the number 2 and number 3 states in potato production in this country, as you all know. Peter worked on Capitol Hill for senators from these 2 potato-producing states. He ate latkes there, but never had a Hamentashen while working on the Hill. He has a government affairs law firm and even represents farmers and companies that grow and process potatoes, many of which end up in the Jewish people's favorite and most delicious food, the latke. Peter Fried.
Well, good morning, and it's a pleasure to join. It's an honor to want to join Dr. Tannenbaum, one of the founders of this shul, on behalf of the icon of Jewish existence, in many ways, the Latke. Now, we were both honored to be asked to do this, and then we were intimidated to learn about the high-priced talent they brought in to defend the Hamentashen. We're just lay people, like all of us here. But remember O.J. Simpson? The guy was guilty as heck, but they had to bring in big talent, to get him off. And they did. And made off, guilty, but they brought in big talent to reduce his fine. So here we are against the prosecutor and the clergy. The clergy with the years of learning and history and tradition and the detail of Jewish existence, his wonderful voice, scintillating personality, all of this against 2 laymen, but we have this. We have the Latke. So that's what we are here to defend, because the Latke is what's good for Bethel, good for our families, good for our people, and good for our country. Oh, where's the flag? But I'm sorry. Just at the outset, for a moment, I have to do something distasteful. I have to mention the Hamentashen. Now, there we go. For our country. Sing this again. What do they say in the political season? Wrap yourself in the flag, right? So, we don't have any photos of that evil, despicable Haman, after whom the Hamentashen is named, but I think he looked like that. Or maybe like that. I'm not sure. But he clearly had do we want to glorify him by eating his hat or his ears? Was he just an ancient threat? Or is it current threat today? I'm not making this up. I found it. This is Haman. That is Hamentashen ears. I guess we'll never think of Hamentashen quite the same way. I think there's going to be a run on Latkes a little later. But fortunately, this is the Latke. Now, we are the people of the book. We revere learned sages, the wisdom, the authorities. But there is one single authority to which we all agree. Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, one authority on the tradition of human and Jewish eating and cuisine, and that is Manischewitz. We have Manischewitz all over the place. Manischewitz potato mixes, latke mixes with vegetables. There are more of them. And in fact, Manischewitz has 9 latke mixes. How many Hamentashen mixes? 0. So here we have Geffen, and we have Carmel, and we have Stripes. They all make latke mixes. Do they make Hamentashen mixes? No. Now, this is a political season. We have to take surveys and polls. And last night, the poll's only good if it's recent. Last night, after Shabbos, we actually did this. We called Katz's Delicatessen up on the Lower East Side of New York. And we asked him, do you sell latkes? And in New York fashion, he says, every day. Do you sell Hamentashens? Never. We called Latkes and posed the same question and got the same answers. Latkes every day. Hamentashen? No, I don't think so. Let me check. No, we don't sell Hamentashen here. Carnegie Deli, same thing. Latkes every day of the year when they're open. Hamentashen? No, we don't have those. So, in fact, I suppose the debate is over. Now, but there's more. There's something that we can do for our country. We need to help these two fellows out. Look, they're worried about something. They're worried about the fiscal cliff, how to spend less, how to tax more. So let me explain how this is relevant to the Hamentashen and the role that you can play, Hamentashen and Latke. What is a Hamentashen made out of? It's made out of flour, no? And flour is made from wheat. Now look at the wheat subsidy. In the last year alone, we spent over $2 billion just last year in subsidizing big corporate farmers for growing wheat.
Yes, that's hugely.
Now, that's unnecessary. It's wasteful. But what about the potato?
What about the oil?
Let's take a look. And if you don't know potato, these are nice Idaho potatoes. Although it's good to point out that Washington State's potato production, while less than Idaho in total volume, is higher in yield per acre. Anyway, there we have 0. So we can do our part. If you're concerned about the billions that are being wastefully spent, and not enough being spent on the environmental and health and education challenges that our nation faces, well, don't eat a Hamantash. Support the potato. Unsubsidized family farmers grow these. Now, what's the big problem in Washington, D.C.? Always partisanship. Remember that? We've seen it enough. But take a look at the number 1, 2, and 3 potato growing states in the country. They're the ones up here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. Both red, thank you, red and blue. And not only are they bipartisan, the House congressional delegation, 9 Democrats, 7 Republicans, and they get along just great. And that's the model. Again, potatoes are the model to solve the partisanship problems. Now, let's consider the shape of the latke. It's a circle, and that's very important. It's important in the history of Bethel, as we're going to get to. You go to next. King Arthur's Round Table. He had a round. Everybody was equal status. It was a revolutionary idea. Everybody was equal, egalitarian. And closer to home, we have our beautiful capital. The capital, round. According to Stephen Lavengood, the chief guide of the Capitol Hill Historical Society, he says the Capitol Rotunda was based on the Roman Pantheon, which again was circular, so that every statue, every person standing or seated in the place would be equal, and it would be inclusive, bringing people in. So this circle, this latke, is really a symbol of our egalitarian values. Now let me end with something that's quite serious, actually, and personal to us here and to the shul. And it deals with the fact that we have this circle of the latke and the circle of egalitarianism here at Bethel. Dr. Tannenbaum is so proud of his beloved late wife, Elaine. Elaine was here. She symbolized equality here at Bethel. In 1972, Elaine Tannenbaum was the first woman in a conservative synagogue in this area to be called up to the bima and to recite an aliyah in 1972, the first time in history. And in so doing, she eliminated the corners. Not like the Hamentashen, that's nothing but corners, but she eliminated the corners. She created an inclusive circle here that we have benefited from in this shul, women and men, for decades since. So that should mean a great deal to all of us. And so for that reason, we urge you to consider the circle of equality that the Latke brings. Thank you.